Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. I'm Linda Hutchinson, the Executive Director of Rock Solid Families.
And I'm Merrill Hutchinson, President of Rock Solid Families. And we are excited to have you join us as we talk all things faith, family, and fitness. A special thanks to Maxwell Construction and Mansfield Insurance Agency for their support of Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community one family at a time.
Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. I am Linda Hutchinson, the Executive Director of Rock Solid Families, and I'm here with the one and only Merrill Hutchinson. Hun, we had a first. We had a first for Rock Solid Radio.
Well, that makes me really nervous.
I know.
What would the first be?
I know. Well, I had this revelation yesterday. Without realizing it, we totally repeated a show, title and all.
Oh. Well, hun, I mean, we are older. Alzheimer's is a real thing.
It wasn't until after we wrote the show, recorded it, and posted it that I found that we wrote the exact same show. Well, I shouldn't say we wrote the exact same show. We recorded a same name show.
The same title, yeah. But one was for Memorial Day and one was for Labor Day.
That's
pathetic.
Both
of them with the idea of having some gratitude.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so just be thankful we did something.
Oh, my gosh. That's a sign of two things, hon.
What's that?
One is we need a little more gratitude. It obviously was on our hearts.
I think that's what the real sign is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was our 100th show, by the way, and we totally forgot to even acknowledge that,
I know we were talking beforehand, like, we got to say something to everybody. This is our 100th show. By the way, last show was our 100th show, everyone.
I think it was also a sign, hun, that we are getting old. So
just kind of frazzled. Maybe we're drinking too much Diet Pop.
Yes, I
not to throw you under the bus, but you do outdrink me on Diet Pop.
I'm trying to do better. Tea
it makes me feel bad.
Oh, it does.
But for you, it gets you frazzled.
Well,
so it kills both of us.
It's the caffeine that I'm looking for because I'm not a coffee drinker. You drink coffee in the morning, and I don't. Yeah. So I got to find it some way. But anyway, while we're on the topic of repeating shows, hun. I will tell you, this is a forewarning, that back in February of 2019, you and I recorded a show that we called Love Languages.
Wait, that's what we're doing today.
Yeah. But
what's different, honey?
But, back in, that's been 18 months ago, we talked about it with our spouse and how to love them the way that they need to be loved. So just for the record, this week, we're talking about love languages, but we're going to take it a whole different perspective.
Yeah, actually, this is actually going to be kind of entertaining and fun and good. So we are taking it a totally different direction into the parenting realm.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about how we actually use the love languages and understand them when we're raising our kids. And man, we have 5 different kids. They all speak different love languages.
Yeah.
And so this will be kind of interesting from the parenting perspective.
And the reason why we're doing this in September, hun, is because our kiddos have been through a lot. The past 6 months has put an unbelievable stress and toll on our families and our children, and their world has been rocked and upside down. I mean, their summer, a lot of things have been canceled, and school looks totally different. Even our kiddos who are in school right now are wearing masks all day.
Yeah.
So they really need some loving, and we're going to just help you as a parent to learn how to love them well.
Yeah, I have to admit, I am probably one that is quick to say, just suck it up.
You are.
I am probably guilty of that. And when the COVID thing first hit, I was like, hey, guys, suck it up, man. We all have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I will say that as the summer wore on, since their summer started in mid-March, as the summer wore on, I was like, man, this is brutal.
Yeah.
These kids, they are just like bored to death. And you can only do so many puzzles and draw and color so much. And so
I bought boxes and boxes of chalk.
Yeah. And so it did start to reveal more and more of just the emptiness that the kids feel when they're not socially connected. And I think, you and I would both agree, COVID needs to be put in its proper place, and our kids need to be out there.
I was just complimenting just complimenting one of our kids the other day, because really they've been in school a month and they've not really talked about the fact that they're wearing a mask all day. Like there's a class or two that's socially distant enough that they can take it off. But man, I don't know if I would be so kind and happy about going to school and wearing a mask.
I've actually
for 8
never heard
hours.
them complain about it. I mean, I know they don't want to do it, but it's like, well, that's
what we do.
Everybody's doing it. So
even the football players wearing them on the sidelines, the girls and the volleyball team wearing them on the bench. I mean, it's a different world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we're not at that point. We're done arguing about whether they should wear them or not.
Yeah.
Just if that's what it takes to get them in school, then that's what we need to do. Hey, we better pay some ads here or run some ads so we can pay some bills. And then let's get into this topic a little bit more. So I want to first start by thanking Mansfield Insurance Agency. They've built a reputation in business built on caring, listening, and protecting their customers. Mansfield Insurance Agency began in 1981 by Jim Mansfield and is dedicated to serving individuals and businesses in Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. If you have an insurance need, call Mansfield Insurance Agency today at 800-230-3927.
We also want to thank Maxwell Construction, which was founded in 1988 by John Maxwell. And since that time, Maxwell Construction has grown and expanded to become one of the most recognized commercial construction companies in the Cincinnati tri-state area. And so if you have any kind of commercial construction needs, call Maxwell Construction today at 812-537-2200.
All right, so let's go into a couple of different announcements here. First off, we just want to thank everybody who continues to listen to this show and spreading the show. Our viewership or listening-ship is gone to places that we would never imagine, all across the country, not just the tri-state, but across the country. So the listening base is growing. So that would tell us that hopefully the message is at least interesting. One of the things that we do ask for are those 5-star ratings that help in terms of just the search engine. But, we have got a couple less than 5-star.
Yeah.
And I think part of what we ask for that, if we're not asking you to agree with what we say on our show. What we're asking, a lot of our show is to create conversation, to have the conversation, because we believe that the conversation of protecting the marriage and the family base is really got to be on the forefront of our minds. And so if you don't agree with something that we say, we're not offended by that. In fact, we would like for you to contact us, right? To say, hey, you guys said this on the show. I don't quite get that, or I don't understand it, or I flat out don't agree. We're not here to argue with you on that. We'd like to hear your take on it, especially if we said something that flat out is wrong, especially that would go against God's word or something like that. We have proven many times over we are a work in progress.
Like I said, we just did a repeat of a show, so we obviously make mistakes. Yeah, we don't claim to know all the answers, but we trust in the one who does. So we would love to hear from you.
That's very churchy. That's a very, I don't claim to know all the answers, but I trust in the one who does.
Okay, well, that's just really truth for me. I mean, honestly, I believe that. I do believe that. And we're here to speak the truth in love. And we believe that it's according to what God's word says. And so if you think that something is contrary to that, please reach out. We want to hear from you. But hon, our listeners are so fun. It's actually going internationally. I mean, we've got some listeners from Ireland.
Those are, I don't know.
And Poland and Norway.
Do you really believe that, or you think it's just like we're getting...
Well, I would love to hear from them. We've got people all across the country, from California and Texas to Illinois to Michigan to Virginia to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So if you're out there listening and you're not from the Cincinnati tri-state area, thank you. Thank you for listening and tuning in. We pray that you are being blessed by these shows and that you would share them with your family and friends. That's the only way we're going to get these messages out that we believe are important for families and marriages.
And we'll invite that if you are listening to us from far away from Indiana, whether that's across the country or internationally, like we have Norway, Ireland, Poland.
Did they even speak English?
I'm assuming they're understanding something. Reach out to us at rocksolidfamilies.org. Shoot us a little note that you're listening. That would just be cool. Yeah. I don't really know exactly how families function in Norway. I mean, I
would love to hear.
Yeah. So what sort of constraints and different things that are expected for families in other places. It's always interesting to figure that out and learn about it.
Yeah. But we have a very practical parenting topic for any parent really out there. So even if you don't buy what we're selling, if you don't agree with this philosophy of God and his word being the foundation of what you do, that's okay. I have a feeling you're going to learn something today. I think this will be a blessing to you, how to best love your child. So why this topic, hon? Why love languages?
Well, this is actually based on a pride of us thinking we're doing the right thing, whether it's loving each other or loving our kids, but yet not feeling that reciprocated or not feeling it be returned, or sometimes even snuffed, like, I don't like what you're doing. And you're like, well, what do you mean? I mean, I love you. I appreciate you. But yet the other person doesn't feel it. I kind of think of it like this, like, you're at you're shooting a little archery and you're hitting a target every time. And then somebody comes and taps you on the shoulder and says, you're shooting at the wrong target, sir.
Yeah.
You're shooting at the wrong target. And so as much as you think you are nailing it with the people in your home, you come to find out that it's really not working for them.
Yeah. So you may have a son or daughter that you're butting heads with, or you feel like they should be thankful for the things that you do. Please keep listening, because this show is for you. Maybe you're just not loving them the way that they need to be loved. Hon, the word love is used over 500 times in the Bible.
Did you count each one of those?
Yeah, I did.
You are amazing.
Well, it's amazing is that the translations change, and so the numbers will change, obviously. But Jesus tells us that the greatest commandment is love the Lord with all your heart, soul, and mind, and then love your neighbor as yourself. So what does that look like? Yeah. We really found a book that has been helpful for us, hon, in learning how to love people the way God has called us to love. And it's a book by Gary Chapman. Hon, it's been out for over 25 years now. He has sold over 12 million copies, which last year when we did this, it was 11 million copies. So the original love language book is sold over 12 million copies. So it's on the New York Times bestseller for the last 10 years. I mean, everyone loves to be loved. I mean, this is just a topic that really hits a nerve with everyone.
It's kind of like... it's not a question of whether you want to be loved, it's how you want to be loved. It's kind of like styles of clothes. I mean, not one style is necessarily right. And all of us have that different sort of style that we're attracted to. And so it's that same way that if you think your style of clothing is what everybody should wear or desires or wants, you're probably missing the mark. And and we do that because typically the way that we love is the way that we like to be loved.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So like if I'm going to dress my little 3-year-old child, I tend to dress him the way I would want him to be dressed.
Yes, and that might not be, especially if it's a boy, it might not want to be dressed that way.
Yeah, especially he gets older and he starts to express that, I don't like wearing those silly pants that you put on me, Mommy.
I remember those little overalls we used to put our boys in when they were young, and they were so cute. They were from the Children's Place, and Oshkosh Begosh was like this really cute. But man, eventually they didn't want those little choo-choo trains on that little overalls.
Mom, I'm 16. I don't want the choo-choo trains on my pants.
But hon, one of the most basic needs in life is to feel loved. And when our love tank is full, we are good. But when it's empty, it's like running a car or a choo-choo train without oil or gasoline. It just doesn't run for long.
Yeah.
You know?
So kids need this. So what we want to talk about, we're going to break through on on all of the 5 different languages, but we really want to move from talking about it from how you would show that to your spouse or what it would look like from spouse to spouse or adult to adult. And try to tap into what it would be like for a kid. Here's the challenging part, I think, with kids. A lot of times you can ask an adult, how do you like to be loved? Or what do you like? I like gifts or I like this. Kids don't always know off the bat. So you kind of have to help go through that process. You may not realize that they like just words of encouragement, or you may not realize that gifts are their deal. So you kind of have to fish through that. And sometimes kids, I know that they can fall into liking what other kids like.
Yes.
Like, well, it's Christmas. I want gifts. That's what I want. But that really, as they get older, you start to realize, gifts are not that big of a deal for them.
Yeah. And kids need all 5 of these love languages. But as we go through them, I want you to think about what your child most asks for or maybe complains about that they don't get. So, hun, the first one we're going to talk about is probably the most popular response for men and women, and that's quality time. Just spending time with ones you love. This is our youngest, Nick. He's 12, and he's constantly asking when we're going to be home, and if we want to play a game, and if we want to watch him jump on the trampoline or the latest trick on the driveway. He just wants our time and attention.
Yeah, and man, that is hard because it's almost like our older one does not desire that much attention. Like, you're lucky to get a higher buy out of him, and he really does not want to be in the presence of a lot of us, at any given time. That doesn't mean
he's a teenager too.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he doesn't want to be loved, but and so all of a sudden you find the younger one just like constantly, hey mom, hey dad, look at this, do this, hey can we go do this? And they want to just hang out with you,
right? Yeah,
right. And so trying to find that balance.
Our daughter's love language is this as well. I believe one of her favorite things is for her and I to have that mother-daughter date where we go and do lunch, usually Panera. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and I'll mix in gifts with that. It always seems like there has to be a little purchase made on those trips.
Well,
not always, but
you're just used to 5 boys in the house. I mean, let's face it, girls are a little different. Shopping sometimes it's the hunt more than it's the stuff. But it's that time. It really is, hun. It's that time together.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. Let's go back to our son. He was in a youth basketball league, and they would have practice every week. And I would go, and I'd bring my work, and I'd sit there and try to do things while he's practicing. Hun, he would admonish me if I was not watching him dribble in a drill. Like, he wanted all the time and attention on him. It's like I couldn't even go do work or sit there, even in the stands. Like, he wanted that quality time with me, sitting there watching him even do a drill.
Well, and not to run too far a tangent on this, but just because that's what they want, that's not what we give them. Okay, so this is not a matter of dropping everything you do when your child has a certain love language and making sure they are getting it 100%. So we had to teach a little bit of, hey, you know what? We're not here, and you can't survive based off of how much other people are always filling you.
Yeah, I mean, but we kind of know that's what fills him. So that's quality time, and for a lot of us, that is number one, a primary language. Hun, physical touch. Depending on the age of the child, many studies show that healthy, appropriate physical touch is a primary love language for kids. Getting hugs and kisses before bed, high fives in the hallway or after a game. Hun, you've found this with our boys. Wrestling with them is that physical touch, or tickling your little girl, putting your arm around them at the church or the movies, letting them sit next to you and snuggle, watching a movie, holding their hand. All these things make a child feel safe and secure, and they can feel you close.
Yeah, and that's like, I'm thinking of the physical touch thing. Well, that might be theirs, but that's not yours, and that can be one that all of a sudden gets uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where I don't always like to, I don't like to be touched and don't want to touch.
Yeah, I don't want you to sit by me. Sit on the other couch.
Can you give me a few more inches between us here? So that's one of those where you go, okay, well, this is really not about me in this instance. If I'm wanting to show love, I maybe need to break that down.
Yeah. Which is why when a child, hun, is deprived of physical touch through neglect, or maybe it's abused in some way, whether it's sexually or physically, wow, it can have lasting damage to a child, even into their adult years. I mean, you and I have worked with a lot of people walking through our office who have had this kind of trauma, and they're having a hard time loving and trusting people because, they have not experienced this as a child. So,
the next area that we'll find kids seeking out are the words of affirmation. So this is interesting because especially if they're one who doesn't really seek a lot of time with you, they don't want to necessarily be touched a lot by you. But that doesn't mean they don't hang on to your words. And we have a kiddo in our house right now that he does actually kind of shy away from us, but he loves when you compliment him.
Yeah.
Like, man, now you were pretty good out on the field tonight. Or, your grades are looking pretty good. Yeah. And he just kind of gets this really cheesy little smile on his face. Like, really? You really think so? You really think so?
Or bragging how great of a driver he is in front of his grandpa. Or, complimenting him on the muscles that he just used to help you move the couch. Like, that means something to him, even if he doesn't give us a lot back.
Right. But those words, they hang on those, and I think it's important because here's the opposite.
Yeah.
Words hurt.
Yep.
Cut
like a knife.
So when you say, like, you could say, man, what a great job out on the football field, or you could say, man, what happened out there? That was a mess. Why didn't you do this or that? And so words can really weigh heavy with your kids. And in a good way or in a not so good way.
Yeah, research tells us for every negative word or interaction we have with a child or anybody really, when we speak words, negative words or words of criticism, it takes 5 positive interactions to overcome it. So that's where you get the term nagging. I'm not saying you can't never have a negative word or correct behavior, but we've got to keep it in the right healthy ratio. And hun, if I'm being honest, I think that's why our teenage son and I have butted heads sometimes, because I think my ratio's off and I need more life-giving words for him. I see his demeanor change drastically when I season my words with grace and truth.
As a parent, I mean, you're trying to raise them up right. You're trying to get them to learn certain lessons and to do certain things. Hey, you got your homework done, you get this done, you got that, because you want the best for them. But each one of those is a negative. And at some point, especially as they get older, they're like, can you just get off my case already?
And again, for some kids, words just roll off of them. Like our littlest one, words are not his big thing. So you could say something and the next day he has bounced back. But for
I'm not sure he heard you, actually, whatever you said.
That's true. But for the others, if this is their primary love language, man, they hold on to those. They can repeat back to you something you said months ago.
Yeah.
You don't even remember saying.
Yeah.
But it hurt them and cut like a knife.
Yeah, and I think that's the one that bothers me the most as a parent, and I think to be aware of this, I've always said to myself, like, I wonder how many times I've scarred my kids, and I won't maybe ever know, or I won't find out till it's too late.
Too late,
like, with our older boys, like, did I say something that they said, you know what, Dad, remember that one time you said this? Yeah. I still remember it. And because I have some of those memories with my own dad. I was a kid that liked words of affirmation, and, so weigh your words wisely, but also understand what kid you're saying those words to.
The 4th love language is the gifts of appreciation. And since the beginning of time, gifts have been a way for humans to connect and show love and appreciation.
I think we need to do more of that for me. Don't you think?
You have found that's not really my love language.
It's not yours, but it helps for me,
Even in the Bible, gifts were given to one another and to the Lord. But research is showing that despite being one of the most common ways to show love, it is one of the least desired.
Yeah.
It actually ranks as being one of the most ineffective ways to love someone.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like gifts can be done very thoughtless.
Yes.
And so if you just go over and grab a card, any card, or you just have Amazon send somebody something, and you really didn't put the time in. That's where I got in trouble with you.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
We've told this story before. Actually, 18 months ago, we told the story.
I did some quick order, thought I would satisfy up. I sent her a gift, and it blew up in my face.
Yeah.
And so it's not always just the gifts. It is truly kind of the thought behind the gift. And if there really wasn't much heart intention, then it doesn't mean much.
It's time that we as parents, realize that we just can't buy our kids love with the latest iPhone or gym shoes. They desire more from us than stuff. And it may be something they want or maybe feel good in the moment, but in reality, they would feel more loved with a daily hug or regular family dinners. For some, I will say, gifts is a primary love language. And how do you know this? Well, maybe go in their room and see how many things they've kind of saved or displaying. It might be that that rock they got from that camping adventure, or a stuffed animal that grandma gave them when they were in the hospital. It doesn't even have to be expensive. It's more sentimental, because this was my grandma's love language.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a huge thing to point out, hon, because there aren't too many kids that don't like gifts.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean it really connected with them.
Exactly.
And so you bring up a great point that, you could go to the store and your kid be all over, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. And you think that, oh, they just like gifts. And then, as you said, watch what they do with the gift. Yeah. If a week later the gift is laying in the bottom of the toy box, or the gift is broken because it was just not taken care of, that really does not you were just feeding their flesh. Yeah. Okay, but you are not feeding their heart.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big thing to differentiate, because there aren't too many kids who don't like gifts. Sure. But that doesn't mean that's their love language.
Well, and you bring up our daughter. That's a perfect example. She honestly just wants the quality time of shopping together.
Yeah.
If we come out with nothing, she's okay. She had a good day. It was the time we spent together more than what I bought for her. And I know that is hard for you to believe. Of course, she would love new clothes.
I just checked the credit card account. That's why it's hard for me to believe.
But honestly, I mean, obviously she's a teenage girl, but really, I'm speaking to her heart when I just want to have time with her.
Yeah. So the last love language here for our kiddos is just talking about acts of service. And so, acts of service this is tough for kids.
Yeah.
Okay. This is tough for kids because, and it's tough for adults because we naturally do a lot for our kids. Okay. And a lot of that is stuff that we do and we never get a thank you for.
Right.
Okay. So it gets harder as they get older for us to want to do these things if it's not reciprocated with a thank you or an appreciation.
Right.
But we do notice that certain kids, when they'll recognize that you're doing things for them as they're getting older. Man, Mom, thanks a lot for doing my laundry or helping me put this away or helping me build this or whatever. And that's a kiddo that actually recognizes the time investment that you're doing to help serve them.
And this is my love language. It's not the most popular. It kind of ranks in the middle. But at the top of the show, it's important that we show our kids all of these love languages, not just their primary one. But for me, you have learned that, hon, you could buy me a $500 watch on, the last moment of my birthday, or you could have just picked a couple flowers, made a homemade card, bring it to me, and I would have.
No, mostly you just like me slaving away for you, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can mop the floor for me and you got my heart. It doesn't cost you a dime.
No. Man, do you know how hard that is? No, it's an interesting thing. And I think part of this as a parent is not like trying to pigeonhole your kid into one of these things.
Right.
I think that's dangerous. And you and I have talked about this before, because in any given moment, I vary what's your number one love language? It really just depends on what's going on. I can't even tell you what my number one love language is, because it does vary depending on the need or the mood at the time. So as a parent, don't look at your kid and say, well, I've pretty much noticed that this is your love language. I mean, you see tendencies. Right. Look at their tendency, and you start to show a favor towards showing love in the tendency that they show you. But don't lock it in as acting like that's theirs. Right. Otherwise, if they don't like it like that, then they must be screwed up.
Not do the others. Because our daughter found out real quick, we talk about love languages in our home a lot, and our daughter took notes. And so she's loved me in the ways that I love to be loved. On my birthday or something, she'll mop the floor or she'll cook dinner. And, those mean more to me than her spending her money. So, hon, as we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about our challenge. What's our challenge here for speaking our kids' love language?
Yeah, so first is to figure out your own love language. And I think that's really important too, because like we said before, if I've got a 3-year-old kid and I have to dress him, I will tend to dress him the way I want to dress him, okay? We tend to love our kids the way we like to be loved or anticipate what love should feel like. And so the first thing is to recognize our own.
And hon, that's a perfect point, because when our two older sons kind of became into the teenage years, I was still trying to serve them the way I would love to be loved, serving them. And they are kind of looking at me like, Mom, I'm okay.
I don't want to be mothered anymore.
I don't want to be mothered.
Yeah.
So even though I was seeing it as loving them, I was doing it the way I want to be loved and not the way they needed.
Yeah, yeah. And it actually is almost, when it's done wrongly in their eyes, it becomes repulsive.
It smothers.
Yeah. And so...
I wouldn't call the word repulsive.
It depends.
Come on.
It depends.
I'm going to call both of them up and ask them.
I've talked with both of them, honey. It's repulsive. No.
But I do recognize now that it was smothering them.
Yeah.
And they were very independent, able young men.
Yeah, so helping you, so once you recognize your own and you kind of have that awareness of it, then I have a question back to you. Well, is there an active way to actually figure out your kids' love language?
Yeah, so this was a game changer for us. Actually back when their oldest two were younger, we actually gave them a paper quiz because I was doing this in ministry with some parents, and so I had our kids do this. But now there's so much online, hon. You can actually just Google love languages for kids quiz, and there's tons of those online. They're free, they're simple. Just sit down with your kiddos, ask them some questions. They'll love it because it's like, hey, would you rather have presents or would you rather go to a movie?
Quality time.
Oh, yeah. I recently did this with a couple of kiddos I'm working with, and they loved it. It was fun just to ask these questions and kind of discover how can they be loved better. Just sit down with them. Or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then just kind of notice, like, what are they asking more of you for? Or what are they complaining about? That's a lot of times a way to kind of, figure that out.
Yeah. And take note on what they take care of, where they like to spend their time. Those are things that can help us. And once you kind of key up on that, I don't think there's ever a shortage of just asking them, well, what would you like to do? We do that with our birthdays and stuff. Yeah. So it's your birthday. So what is something you'd like to do?
Yeah.
Rather than assuming that what you do is going to make them
Assuming
happy.
is super important, hon. And so again, like we said at the top of the show, we need to speak all of these languages to our kids. Actually, I want you to use this language. I want it to be a common discussion. Help your kids understand, because not only is this important for them, but it's important on how they love others, their girlfriend, boyfriend, teachers, bosses, parents, and figuring out, it will save you a lot of time and energy and headaches.
In the world of showing love, this is one of the first ways that you start to teach your own kid what empathy feels like.
Yeah, good point.
The idea of how you feel is not as important right now if you're trying to work with somebody. It's how they feel about something. And so this is a level of empathy understanding that you can start to teach with your own kiddos.
Good point.
I think it pays large dividends with all their relationships down the road.
Yeah.
All right. So let's wrap this puppy up.
Yeah. So as we close, there is hope for a better relationship, whether your child is 5, 15, or 25. Please do not settle for less than God's best. I think too many parents hit a wall with one of their kiddos and they just don't know where to turn or what to do. Please reach out for help. There is help out there. Connect with a Christian counselor. Give us a call at Rock Solid Families. Let's sit down and figure out what's going on.
All right. So we also would like to thank our sponsors, Maxwell Construction and Mansfield Insurance Agency, for continuing to be proud sponsors of Rock Solid Radio and helping us get our message out there. So let's get out there and keep listening, keep spreading the word, and give those 5-star ratings and communicate with us.
Yes.
Talk with us. We like to hear what's on your mind. That's only going to make our shows better and us better in the job that we do.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Rock Solid Radio. For help or more information about what you've heard on today's show, contact us at rocksolidfamilies.org or call us at 812-576-ROCK. That's 812-576-ROCK. Again, a huge thanks to our sponsors, Maxwell Construction and Mansfield Insurance Agency. If you have questions you'd like answered on our show, or you want to chime in on something you heard, go to our Facebook page, Rock Solid Families. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to tune in next week for another episode of Rock Solid Radio. I'm Linda Hutchinson, and for my husband Merrill and I, thanks for tuning in to Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community, one family at a time.